I was a guinea pig in an experiment that no one ever told me about. And I was in my mother's womb, and the Kinsey Report came out.
Mm.
Kinsey was an entomologist. He was an expert on gall wasps. And for some reason, he started to get money from the Rockefellers to study human sexuality. And suddenly he's portrayed as an expert on human sexuality. That came out 1953 when the book on women, female sexuality came out. He was portrayed on the cover of Time magazine as basically a Boy Scout. He had that crew cut. He had that bow tie. He had birds and bees flying around him. This was the CIA. Time magazine at this point was the public relations arm of the CIA. A man by the name of C.D. Jackson was an employee of the CIA and of Time Life. He was Harry Luce's right-hand man at Time magazine at that time. And this was the project that got launched after World War II. And it was basically, we need to form a new form of control. In general, it was called social engineering. Social engineering was based on the theories of John B. Watson, which is behaviorism, which says there's no such thing as human nature. What you need to do is take control of the environment, and that way you'll take control of the man, because the man is simply a function of his environment. So this was one prong of that desire, that attempt. So, okay, 41 years later, after I'm born, I'm in the home of Paul Gebhardt, who is one of the co-authors of the Kinsey Report, one of the main co-authors, you would say. And I'm telling him that there was an article that just appeared, an Associated Press article, in which he said, in which the author said, John Barber, the reporter, said that the Kinsey Institute had the second largest pornography collection in the world, but the most extensive pornography collection was in the Vatican. And I thought, that doesn't sound right to me. I've been to the Vatican. I kind of know, and I called up John Barber, and I got him on the phone, and I said, where is it? He said, well, it's there somewhere. I said, no, be more specific. You said it's there. Where is it? He said, what's your problem? I said, my problem is I don't believe you. I don't think it's there. He hung up on me, okay? So now I'm with Paul Gebhardt. I said, where is this pornography collection? Gebhardt burst out laughing, and he says, that was a joke. Kinsey made it up. He got a rise out of the audience whenever he said it, and so he started to say it a lot. Pretty much every time he got there, he wanted to get a rise out of the audience, he would say that. So here, my life has changed because of a joke, an inside joke that nobody told me about. And so this allowed me to revise my thinking. And so I start to get into this thing. Well, where is this going? And I knew the Rockefellers were involved in it. So I went to the Rockefeller archives. Very helpful. They were a great archive. And they gave me the folder of the Population Council. And there's a letter from Alan Gregg, who's the head of the Rockefeller Foundation, to the draft board in South Bend, Indiana, for another author of the Kinsey Report. And it's Wardell Pomeroy. And the letter says, basically, Gregg says, please excuse him from being drafted. This is 1942, because he's engaged in research on how to control large populations. So there you had it. From the insider, it was control. Now, nobody told you that. I'm the guy who said it. I had to dig to find out what was going on here after a whole life of sort of being the guinea pig in an experiment that nobody told me about. So to update it, to get closer to the writing of the book, I get a job at St. Mary's College in Indiana, and hired to teach American literature, tenure track contract, move my family out there, buy a house with a mortgage, and get fired 1 year later. Why did I get fired? Well, because I was against abortion. And I keep trying to explain, well, wait a minute. They say, I don't understand this. Well, I didn't understand. How can you get fired for being against abortion at a Catholic college? The answer to that is feminism. The answer to that is basically the sexual corruption that took place at Notre Dame University during this period of time, late 60s, when Hesburgh Father Hesburgh was, again, collaborating with the Rockefellers. We're back to the Rockefellers now, who were paying money to undermine the church's teaching on contraception because John D. Rockefeller III, who was head of the Population Council, thought that there were too many people in the world, and the main group that was guilty of doing this, responsible for this, was the Catholic Church because they opposed contraception. So suddenly I'm realizing my life is being surrounded by this kind of sexual corruption. This is not normal. It's not a normal thing, and I'm starting to realize it's affecting my life in an adverse way. So I started writing about it. I wrote a book called Degenerate Moderns, which is basically modernity as rationalized sexual misbehavior.